Yo, what is going on, everybody? Miami Grand Prix just around the corner. Very unique and special BMWs, and of course, the absolute insane project that is Garages of America. Collector cars for sale in the market. Talk a little bit about that. It's going to be an exciting episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, Auto Talks US. Let's get into it. So right off the bat, guys, the track atmosphere in Miami has got to be through the roof. We had a wet sprint race, which this is the insane part. This sprint race that we saw in Miami just yesterday was nothing short of insane. I mean, that was some of the most spectacular sprint racing. We had basically a full Grand Prix worth of action in 18 laps. By lap 9, we had several cars out. We already had multiple places changed. And then from there, it was a tire strategy race. The inters were falling off because they were getting too hot. As the track dries up, those tires get worse. Such crazy excitement. Max Verstappen leaving the pits smashes into Kimi Antonelli, finds himself at the back of the grid. The McLarens are set. The McLarens are set to go after this thing. Max Verstappen, I do think, has pole position. If I'm not mistaken, let me take a look real quick, because otherwise I'm going to botch this. Boop. Miami GP pole position. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so not crazy. Max Verstappen's lining it up. Pretty insane, guys. This is going to be a really exciting race. Again, as with almost every single race, I highly encourage you guys to check out Price Picks. There's a fantastic way to just get the most out of these races, especially when you're talking excitement like this. I'm personally excited to see what happens. We're going to have a dry race, I believe, for now. That's what they're anticipating. I don't see any rain on the radar yet. Let's see these predictions. So 3 hours and 55 minutes to go. This race is because it's in the United States. I recorded these episodes sometimes on the day of, sometimes the week before. Oftentimes, it just depends. So this particular episode, guys, I wanted to wait until the day of because we have the news and everything going on in Formula One basically changes daily. I wanted to wait until the very end to see what these predictions look like. What kind of how exciting is this going to get? Right, Max and Lando into turn 1. There's got to be excitement there. Anything going on with Miami into turn 1? We saw yesterday with Oscar and Kimi. Obviously, poor Kimi, by the way, he put it on pole position for the sprint and totally botched it. But again, he's a young hot shoe. He'll get many more chances. We don't have to really talk too much about Kimi losing out on that first corner incident because it's just going to happen. Oh, that's some good coffee. Yeah, so similar situation, by the way, happened with Max and Oscar in Jeddah. Basically the same thing. First corner incident, kind of one completely misses the corner. The other one is makes it out, however, loses a position. I personally see this as an opportunity for McLaren to just continue their dominant streak. As long as they can deal with Max, whether it be through a pit strategy or just pure pace off the line, they've got to get past Max in some way, shape, or form, and then from there, stay out of each other's ways. Up until this point, it's been pretty darn exciting to see Oscar and Lando both have number one driver energy. And so that makes it super exciting. We are seeing the Miami Grand Prix kind of develop into a standard for the United States. It's not leaving anywhere. I personally thought it was a gimmick, 1 or 2 time event. It's becoming a staple event. I think it's because of the money that it brings. I mean, everyone is there. So it's also during Derby weekend. So people have to decide, do I want to go to Derby or do I want to go to the Miami Grand Prix? I'm actually from Louisville, Kentucky, so that's a real tough one to decide. Would you want to go to the Miami Grand Prix or would you want to go to the Derby? You might have to alternate years so that you can do both with your family. I think both are incredible family events. The Derby, actually, if you think about it, is less of a family event just because it's so centered around gambling and boozing. And Churchill Downs, if you guys haven't been there, it's not a clean place. It smells like horses. Sometimes it rains. There's mud everywhere. People are wearing these amazing nice suits, and unless you pay to sit in the stands in the paddocks, which are hundreds and if not thousands, usually thousands of dollars to spend to sit in those real nice spots. Otherwise, if you're paying a couple $100, less than $100, God forbid, you are for sure tracking mud home. So whereas the Miami Grand Prix, you have no choice but to spend a lot of money because it's Formula One. But even at the entry level of the Grand Prix experience, your pretty clothing is going to come home with you. The fan engagement, by the way, I think in Austin they're in the 300 to 400,000 total attendance now, with the latest, and that's fast forward 12 years, 13 years. I mean, the track's been around since 2012. So the fan engagement's crazy with Formula One. Part of the reason why I became such a fan when I was a kid was I just didn't understand in Europe, like, because all the racing was going on in Europe. We didn't really. I mean, we had the Indy 5 or the Indianapolis GP, as it were, but there was no COTA, there was no Miami, there was no Vegas. So I discovered Formula One almost as if it was like some sort of I don't know how to describe it, like a kind of this mythical thing, right? It's like a mythical thing that I know exists, but I just don't see it other than on TV. And this was also before YouTube. You know, you're talking 2005, 2006. Finally, YouTube comes around. We start seeing those iconic videos of Lewis and Tony Stewart swapping seats with the V8 McLaren and the NASCAR. Excuse me. So yeah, that was just unbelievable. I'm super excited for the race. 3 hours and 50-ish minutes until lights out. 3 hours 48. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a race. We are going to talk about the results next week. And next week, hopefully, if we have a great race today, it's going to be a fantastic episode next week. Because next week, we may have a chance to interview a professional driver. And so, of course, we're going to talk about Formula One. Of course, we're going to talk about GT3. I want to get into all of it with our guests. That's what the show is really about, is giving a platform to the other folks in the industry who have cool stories to share. So that's kind of what we're going to be trying to shoot for. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. Yesterday, we went to Garages of America. Absolutely fantastic event as always. It's for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that aren't here in Dallas, Garages of America and Garages of Texas is this. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a personal lifestyle development, and these are the garages that you can purchase for yourself. You can build your basically your dream man cave, if you will. Outfit it with your cars. Slot machines, poker tables, posters, whatever you want. This is for you. These are garages that you can purchase to just get away from the monotony of life with all of your fancy toys. Put them somewhere nice, park them somewhere nice, entertain your friends. Personally, I thought it would be really cool to have one of these just so I could have a really nice car downstairs, possibly basically do this, sit around and host a podcast out of this garage with cars in the background, and just make a really nice environment to bring guests and have them sit down and tell their stories surrounded by cars. So I think that would just be absolutely awesome. That's definitely something to shoot for in the future. And Garages of America is only expanding, guys. If you have any questions or if you're interested in learning more about that, there's a link in the episode notes about Garages of America. We're really fortunate to have something like that here in Texas because basically the car community is growing at an exponential rate. Don't know if you guys are aware, but it is. Even if the market's down, at a given point. The overall automotive industry as a whole is expanding rapidly. There is more access to automobiles now than ever before, and people want to share them with other people, whether that be through social media or that be in person. So Garages of America is basically giving folks an opportunity to share that story and that journey as they go through it in the form of actual unique structures and garages that you can make your own. And so this car show, Garages of Texas, that we went to, guys, oh my goodness. It's just wall-to-wall eye candy. E92 M3s, Z8, Porsche GT3s to literally eat off of. I mean, there were more Porsches than you could count. Now, the Porsche community is huge, so you would expect that, but I didn't expect that many Porsches. There was probably at least 100 just Porsches, not to mention other brands. So one thing I did want to highlight as I was making my rounds around Garages of America was two particular BMWs that were parked next to each other. It took me about 45 seconds to realize that the owner of both cars was standing very closely to me, and so it kind of worked out perfectly because I had questions. But for one, you never see Z8s to begin with. You just don't. This is a movie star car. This is an iconic analog BMW masterpiece. This is when BMWs were making true hardcore analog super sports cars. So we met Richard, and he told us. He said, the Z8's actually for sale. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of the market. Here at IP Consulting Solutions, it's kind of what we do is speculative market assessment for our clients. The Z8 is not a bad purchase right now, all things considered. If you look at the way the marketplace is shaping out, and if you look at cars that people are holding on to, it's usually cars with manual transmissions, very, very authentic, very vibrant engines, and stories behind them, really nice engineering stories. The Z8 ticks every box. Some of you know it as the E52. The Z8 is a V8 manual transmission BMW Roadster, and not just any Roadster. It's a very particular kind of Roadster. It looks like it belongs in like a James Bond movie, and as I say it now, this is an iconic movie car. I don't remember the name of the movie that it was in. It might have been James Bond, but these cars are only climbing in value. They're very, very tough to find, and BMW did not make a lot of them. Think like, well, everyone knows the Z line. We're not going to go too far into the Z line, but in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, you would have seen these at Quail. You would have seen these at, your local Cars and Coffee, maybe. But then, as time went on, they got stored away. They are designed really, really kind of quirky. James Bond drove one. It was actually, what's his name? Pierce Brosnan, of course. Well, thank you so much, ChatGPT. You're a legend. Just reminded me that Pierce Brosnan was James Bond, who drove the Z8 in The World Is Not Enough. Unbelievably iconic connection there. So, I mean, the steering wheel had those four sort of wire prongs, bucket seats with the kind of the stick out headrest thing, and like just unreal. So back to Richard's car. It's a silver car. It's for sale. Now this isn't just it's a silver car. Absolutely stunning. And then immediately so that car's for sale. We'll probably have to put something in the description about that, just so you guys can find this gentleman if you're interested in his car. Might have taken some pictures of the paper in the window. I hope I did. I probably did. And On the flip side, guys, if you are interested in this car, you can visit our website, www.iapconsultingsolutions.com, and fill out a form. That form, I will then get you in touch with with Richard, and you guys can kind of pick up the conversation from there. We also kind of turned our head, and I was looking at these pictures. I'm like, unbelievable that they were side by side. As you all know, I am a massive M5 fan. I had one. I had an E60 M5, Alpine white, loud as hell. So this one is a F10 finished in Silverstone, I believe it was called. Let me see if this is right. BMW F10 M5. It kind of looks like this one. It kind of looks like Silverstone metallic. I hope I don't botch it. It's a very rare car, like extremely rare, probably less than 170 units, and carbon fiber everywhere. It had a carbon fiber roof, manual transmission. So both of these cars are for sale, and I had no idea because I was just standing there just enamored, like just looking like, wow, these are the two most beautiful BMWs I've seen in a long time. And then we came to find out that they were available, so that was really cool to learn. If you guys are interested in those cars, we'll definitely find a way to get you in touch with the people you need to be in touch with. So that was absolutely amazing. There was another car that really, really caught my attention, and I took a couple of pictures of it on my camera. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see it there. The Yellow Ferrari Scuderia, a full term. Oh my goodness, guys. I've been obsessed with these cars pretty much since they came out in the late 2000s. Totally analog V8, so no turbochargers or nothing like that. It's very, very light. If you look at the inside, the whole thing is decked out to the max with Alcantara suede. So literally the entire car is just Alcantara suede with carbon fiber everywhere. You don't see any plastic. You don't see any leather. It's just Alcantara and carbon. It is very, very loud. It's got a race exhaust on it. And it brings me back to a simpler time, because as I sit here and remember, you had cars like the V8 R8 with the gated manual. Then the V10 R8 came out, gated manual, Iron Man. These were the pinnacle of supercars for me. Lamborghini was doing facelifted Gallardos, so you would basically have the 560-4, then you'd have a facelift, then you would have the Superleggera, then the Super Trofeo, and oh my goodness, and I just remember every year as a new one would drop, they were just so good. These analog, naturally aspirated supercars were unreal. And out of all of them, my favorite was always the Scuderia Ferrari. The Scuderia Ferrari was just so cool. The rear, how the rear diffuser kind of comes up a little bit, and then the exhausts are mounted so high on the rear end, it looks just like a race car. The regular F430 had them down low in the diffuser section of the rear bumper, whereas on the Scuderia they were mounted high, and it looked just so cool. In addition to that, of course, the racing seats, you had the signature 2 stripes on the hood going across the roof and the back. This was just such an iconic car. And the funny thing is that it really didn't take too much for the average new supercar owner back then to go from the regular F430 to the Scuderia. But speculative markets ultimately took over and made the Scuderia genuinely about twice as much as what a typical F430 would cost today. I'll always be in love with the Scuderia. I don't care what happens with them as price-wise as time goes on. It will always be a car that I am very much after. There's just something to be said for classic Ferraris, and I hate to call it a classic now, but it is coming up on 17 years old. So they're stuck in time. You remember the noises they made on Top Gear. You remember how they made you feel when you first saw them. You remember the envy and the jealousy you felt of seeing someone else bring it to Cars and Coffee when you were younger. And you also remember that it influenced every decision you made growing up to ensure that you can secure one for yourself in the future. So cars today, unfortunately for me, just don't do it because I see kids with with successful TikTok accounts immediately go and buy the same supercar every time. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to car shame. I'm not in a position to car shame when I don't myself dabble in that game. But I speak from an enthusiast perspective, and only as an enthusiast when I say that some cars are overpurchased, and they're overpurchased because they're overmanufactured. They're overmanufactured because the manufacturers know that they're going to sell really well in that category of buyer. That's why it doesn't really appeal to me to begin with. They were never those cars aren't. I'm not their target audience. I go for cars like the original Ford GT in 2005, F430 Scuderias. 997 GT2 RSs instead of the newer ones, the ones that had the manual transmission with the turbos, stuff like that. Cars that genuinely just make you go like, whoa, like that was nuts. You get done with the drive, whether it's 5 miles or 500 miles. And you have to kind of stand there and gather yourself a little bit. You have to really gather yourself. You have to sort of just sit there and go, okay, like that was exhilarating. That was a rush. How do I make sure I can do that again? One thing that we need to touch on is COVID. Everybody has talked to great lengths about COVID in the marketplace. We all remember what 2020 was like. Let's not kid ourselves. Those days are gone. So I remember a while back I was looking at Scuderias because I had a client that was interested in buying one, and he was asking me if we could still get one at what they cost when we first talked about them years ago. When I say years ago, I mean on Instagram we would message each other back and forth about how cool it would be to own one during it was around during the time that COVID first started. Or was kind of entering its peak, and his business was just getting started, and so we were just sending each other just these pictures back and forth, like, dude, how cool would this be, or how cool would these wheels look, how cool would this look? The car at the time was about $130,000. You know what I mean? So when I say that the times are just gone, we can't reminisce like that in the past. It's not healthy. As car enthusiasts, as enthusiasts and as speculative buyers and sellers, especially myself who owns a consulting agency as well, I have to take emotion completely out of it. Yes, this is one of my dream cars, but we already saw what happened. We saw what happened, and now the greatest piece of data that we can always have is things that happened in the past. Trends, history, and you can learn from that. Now that we know a car like this can drop to $130,000, given a very, very, I guess, major impact on the globe as a whole, hedge against that. Make moves, make smart moves, start saving money, start having investments. Put yourself in a situation where if and when tragedy strikes, you can take full advantage. So, don't discount a car because it's out of your price range now. It's only out of your price range today. Anything can happen, and that's what makes this whole industry fun. So as we sit here and discuss a $300,000 car, it's not to say that it can't be worth $150,000 again in a few years. We just do not know what can happen, and we're always going to stay up to date on these things at IAP Consulting Solutions. It's just kind of what we do. We have a lot of strategies in place for watching the markets on these cars, and we leverage a lot of technology to do it. It's a lot of fun. So if you have any questions, or if you're looking for a particular car, or if you have any questions about how we assess these things, definitely reach out. It's a lot of fun. Now, one thing I kind of want to talk about is the gateway drug that is BMWs. The M3 chassis line as a whole, it's a very, very affordable way to get into a car that is going to have you obsessed with mechanical speed. Raw speed, mechanical speed, whatever you want to call it, is basically the combination of what your body feels during a rapid acceleration and a rapid change of direction and a rapid deacceleration. Certain cars have a way of smoothing out their performance inside the cockpit to where they almost kind of, I hate to use the word boring, but they don't involve you to go fast. The car can kind of do it with you behind the wheel, controlling it, but it's just not going to give you that rush. So, raw power, raw speed, those types of cars, they have to, let me rephrase that. You have to put in a certain amount of effort to extract the fun that they're capable of giving you. And the M3 is all that is. Starting with the E36 M3, I don't want to go back to the E30 because they're very, very pricey, and you just do not want to go risking, God forbid, wrecking them to see what you're made of. So the E36 M3 is kind of a nice place to start, especially if you're a pretty capable driver from the get-go. Man, 330 horsepower if you want to make a couple nice tasteful modifications, 330, 350. I've seen some as high as 400. You are in for a real treat. The way the rear can find itself planted with a pointy front end. I had a buddy back in the day, Tim. He had an E36 M3. It was Alpine white with the Vader seats, and at the time it was a really rare car. I mean, you're talking 10 years ago. And oh my goodness, I mean, we would just go out and just rip and really kind of set the stage for what I knew as good sports cars. Similar to that, the E46, they sort of fattened the rear a little bit, made the engine have a higher red line, I believe, and that became sort of the one of the best race cars of the 2000s, next to the GT3 Porsche, which would have been the 996. Yeah, the 996 and the 997 towards the end there. The GT3 naturally aspirated was right up there with the E46 M3. E92 came out. That one had the V8, iconic engine, absolutely iconic engine in that car. I always got them mixed up because I had the V10 M5, not the E92 M3. So one of them was the E65, the other was the S85 engine. So growing up, I always got the two confused. But that M3 V8 was so nice. It revved through the moon. And if you took care of that engine just like the M5 engine, if you got it warmed up, if you drove it hard, if you treated it right, they were race cars stuffed into a car that you could take for dinner, not the other way around. And it's just refreshing. A couple weeks ago, we were at G2 Motorsport Park, like we talked about on the last episode, and Marty, a gentleman we know here in Dallas, he was out there ripping on his M3. It's a track-built M3, but effectively with a more or less stock powertrain. Now, I'm not taking anything away by saying that. In fact, I'm adding to the car's significance by saying the whole car was track prepped, brakes, interior, suspension, aero, everything. But the power plant just does not need messing with. You are not chasing horsepower numbers. You are chasing lap times. So you make all the necessary changes to the car to just maximize the performance that BMW already gave you out of the box. It is tremendously terrific. The gearbox is designed, especially the DCT that was found in the E92 M3, not the clutch-based SMG that was in my M5. These are now dual clutch transmissions with a lot of technology, fly-by-wire technology, things like that. So much faster at shifting, so much more reliable. You lose the need for that very expensive Sachs clutch and flywheel to do all of that hard shifting where the fluids are warming up everything, and you can the SMG3 in my M5 was one of the most violent, fun, dangerous, and expensive things that was a combination of all. I was fortunate enough to only need to replace the clutch, flywheel, and actuator, pump actuator. Did not actually ever have any issues with the SMG pump itself. I took amazing care of my car, and drove it very, very hard, but at the right temperatures and the right way. The BMW dealer that I worked for helped me really, really learn the ins and outs of the E60 M5 in order to maximize what I had, because it was very expensive to fix and I could not afford a transmission in that car. 100%. Absolutely not. With labor, you're talking in the $30,000 price range. So just FYI if you're interested in one of those. By the way, guys, speaking of the E60 M5, at IAP Consulting Solutions right now, we have a beautiful 2008 BMW M5 for sale. This is an LSI car. This is a car that has almost every single option available through BMW at the time. You're talking a car, quite frankly, that cost over $110,000 brand new. So here's the best part. Everything we just discussed that could go wrong with one of these unbelievable track cars has been taken care of for you. The rod bearings were done at 98,000 miles, throttle actuators at 104, Vanos pump at 92. The clutch and pump that we were just talking about, guys, that was already done on this car. So if you guys are interested in having that experience of owning a V10 BMW supercar, we do have one available for you. It's $22,500. It's on the website right now, available for purchase, shipping to your door. So check it out. Treat yourself this year to a car that very soon will no longer exist. Cars like this are just not being made anymore. As sad as it is, hand-built V10s are not exactly what the emissions board has in mind. But if you don't care about stuff like that, if you want to go fast, if you want to have sticky tires going 200 miles per hour, then this is the car for you. So we'll have to put a link in the description as well. It's really cool to represent cars like these guys because, quite frankly, like I said, there's just not a lot of them out there anymore. We got lucky with this one. This is a client who is very, very much a car guy. We actually grew up together. He ended up treating himself to this BMW after coming off of years and years of owning JDM legendary cars, from Supras to Evos and everything in between. So to kind of jump into the world of BMWs for a while, he's loved this car. He's done a lot of work to it. Obviously, the service is impeccable. It's truly, truly, truly refreshing to see enthusiasts owning cars the right way. Let's put it that way. So moving on, there's still a few things we want to talk about before wrapping up this episode. We're going to be getting ready soon to go. We need to find a place to watch this race because Miami is one of the few races in the United States that we actually get to watch at a reasonable time. So I'm going to go somewhere, sit down, and hopefully catch this thing. It's going to be such a fun time. The last little thing I wanted to talk about was just some common questions we have are future classic watch lists. So many of my friends, family, past and previous clients alike are always asking, what cars are we looking out for to possibly purchase in the future or even now that are going to be not only fun but also rewarding moving down the line as far as service and or speculative asset ownership. These aren't going to be cars that you're going to be making money on. I don't want you guys to think that way. These are cars for enthusiasts. So if you're here to make money, you can turn this off at this time and come back later. If you want to hear about sports cars that are genuinely going to just make you smile ear to ear, you're going to be spending your money valuably because these cars are pretty much either at the bottom of where they're going to be for a little while, at least the next 3 to 5 years, but also cars that are just safe investments all around. So here's a couple cars I wanted to go over. It's not going to be all of them. If you want to know all of them, you can fill out a form on iepconsultingsolutions.com. We do share our thoughts with the general public. You just have to ask us in the way so that we can keep track of the questions that we get, because then we can address the questions on the show. So if you want to ask a question about cars that you are interested in learning more about as far as what they're doing in the market, fill out a form on the website. We'll talk about it on the show. We'll discuss everything. It's going to be a really good time. So here's a couple cars that we wanted to talk about first. In that $50,000 price point, we talked about this on the Cars Yeah program here, guys. The E90 E92 M3 with the 6-speed manual. Easily under $50,000. You're talking in the 30s to 40s for a very, very nice one. You've got to do it. You've got to do it at least once in your life. If you're jumping from year to year just with Ford Explorers, Toyota Tundras, Cadillacs, whatever you're buying that you're financing and stuff like that, break away for a second, go to Premier Financing or Premier Leasing, whatever they're called. Get yourself some financing on a really nice sports car at a low interest rate and just try it out. Or if you want to pay cash, obviously it's a safe investment because these cars you're not gonna lose too much money on these cars. So the reason that this was a recommendation that came up is it's just over and over such a hot purchase. We always have the E92 M3, particularly in the manual transmission. You can get yourself a double hump car, which has the nav and the BMW i system, the iDrive, or you can get yourself a single hump car. We call those stripper models. Those are just the ones that are purely fun for the track. Slick top, no sunroof, single hump car without the navigation, manual transmission. That's what you guys need in your life if you haven't already had it. I promise. So from that price point, let's move on a little bit to something just a little bit more pricey, about twice as much actually. That's going to be the C7 ZR1. What we have seen recently, especially being a member of the Corvette page online and just being a Corvette fan for years, is the growth and popularity of the ZR1 as it started to come down a little bit. We are now seeing the ZR1 in the dangerous territory of the $70,000 to $90,000 price point. This is what we have been waiting for, guys. We have been waiting for the ZR1 to hit that $80,000 price point, because now you don't have to go for cars. You don't have to settle, basically. Before this, I do vividly remember a time when the C6 ZR1 was about $120,000 to $130,000. They were just hovering around what they cost new, minus some of the dealer fees that you would have put in. On the low end, you can get lucky and find one for $60,000 to $70,000, but this was America's supercar in the late 2000s, 2010, 2011. The ZR1 was 150% America's supercar. The only other car that we might be able to mention is the Viper, but the Viper it's a little bit dangerous. There was kind of I hate comparing the Corvette and the Viper because they are just fundamentally for two different types of people. The Corvette, with its weight distribution, a well-planted chassis, carbon ceramic brakes, the supercharger obviously making stupid power. I think they made 690 horsepower or something like that. It was perfect. I've been obsessed for years. Again, 2021, 2020, 2021, 2022. We have to discount what happened in that price point period because of COVID. Right now, what we're looking at is what they're really worth. About $80,000 to $90,000, and this is America's supercar. So I encourage if you have that kind of money to play with, if it's not an object, hold off a little bit on financing your dream Ferrari and your dream Lamborghini for at least 6 months. I highly encourage you to get yourself into a C7 ZR1. The experience alone, this is going to be more car than you can handle. I guarantee it, unless you are a professional driver. The ZR1 is definitely going to be more power than you can handle. So if you're worried that it's just not going to be fast enough and you need a Lamborghini, throw that completely out the window. The ZR1 is going to scare the shit out of you, but it's also going to bring a very unique type of perspective. You are now stepping into America's supercar. This isn't a Z06 anymore. This is a ZR1, and it is a completely different vehicle. So when you show up to events, you're going to be treated a little bit differently. When people see it, they're not going to really so much ask you typical questions that Corvette owners get. They're going to ask you more serious questions about what do you do for a living, who are you, blah, blah, blah. The ZR1 just commands a different level of respect entirely. So I put that in our $100,000 category. A couple cars that are also hovering around that 100K range. This was just sub 100,000. We're going to move on to just slightly over 100,000. That's the 458 Italia and the 997 GT2. We are finally in the point in time where, in my opinion, one of the coolest naturally aspirated Ferraris is finally affordable. This was also the last Ferrari that Michael Schumacher was able to test for Ferrari before they put it into production. Why is that significant? Well, because in the late 2000s, Michael Schumacher was the most successful Formula One driver in history, and he brought Ferrari back from the dead to a world championship status just a few years before that. So for him to give his feedback as a tester of this great platform meant that the car that was originally sold and exists today in the 458 Italia is going to have a lot of his soul and his feedback in it. It is just inherently going to be a little bit better than some of the other things, and that's just because he got to be a part of that program. And so for a lot of us who are massive Michael Schumacher fans, Formula One fans, Ferrari fans, the 458 Italia specifically should have a special place in our hearts. And I think it's worth every penny for that. The 997 GT3, that's because the current one is just unobtainium. The brand new one, I mean. So if you wanted to scoot back a couple of years and you've got, let's say, $40,000 cash, you can go ahead and put that down, finance the rest. You can find yourself in a sweet place owning a GT3, especially if you're using it for your business. It's a fantastic asset. If you're in the motorsport world, you can use that, leverage it, blah, blah, blah. You can talk to your guys. But the GT3 is not going anywhere, and the older they get, the more obtainable they somewhat appear, especially since they're around. You can find a 2011 GT3 right now for, let's see, Porsche GT3 for sale. Forgot to put the year because it's showing me 2011s, which is irrelevant. Just kidding. 179,000. So this is a facelifted model, actually. All of these are facelifts. God, I forgot how beautiful these cars are. Unbelievable. Oh my gosh, they look so good. Why do people not drive these more? All I see is brand new GT3s. I never see these 2011 facelift models. This is a manual too. Yeah, I mean, guys, look at this. I mean, this is just crazy. Alcantara everywhere. This front end in particular, I think, was my favorite from Porsche. Yeah. This is it right here. This is it. Oh my goodness. 2011 GT3. Oh, 30,000 miles, $179,000. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about here, guys. Totally obtainable and doable, and I encourage you guys to explore a car like that if you have the money. Now, the final one, this is going to be a bonus. This is going to be kind of like a bonus pick. The gated manual Gallardo with the 5.2 liter V10. Guys, what are you doing? Get yourself into a manual transmission Lamborghini before they are all scooped up. $140,000, you are talking a reliable 2011, 2012, 2013 Lamborghini with a V10 under 20,000 miles. You are going to have a blast. The Huracan, yeah, the Huracan is cool, but everybody has it. And what are we talking about on this program? This is about automotive experiences. This is about storytelling. This is my opinion more than anything. I think the Gallardo is way cooler than the Huracan. I'm not gonna just blurt my age out, but I think the Huracan's kind of overrated. Everyone and their mother has one. I'll be honest right now, I don't. But if I wanted to go and get a business loan and I wanted to, leverage some kind of asset for marketing purposes that had to do with automobiles, it would probably be a Huracan. I would wrap that thing with a big fat AutoTalksUS logo and literally just say, hey guys, this is for advertising. Obviously, don't take tax advice from me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of blah, 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 blah. But that's what I would do because everybody knows the Huracan. They are everywhere. Instead, I'm a driver. I'm a performance guy. I'd go get myself a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old fully manual V10 Gallardo and call it a day. So, hope you guys took something good away from this episode. The Miami Grand Prix is just in a couple of hours. We're going to start getting ready here pretty soon. If you guys have any suggestions or anything like that, for the show, as far as like what you want to talk about, maybe cars you are interested in learning more about, if you're looking for something in particular or anything else that has to do with what we're talking about, visit iapconsultingsolutions.com, fill out a form, give us some suggestions, and we'll take it from there. And then the final thing is just enjoy the race. Miami Grand Prix is an exciting one. It did take me a little while to fall in love with. Not a big fan of the track or how it looks, but it's not the end of the world, so it's going to be a good time. Hope everybody enjoyed this episode again. Premieres every week, AutoTalksUS, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.